We created our final award in our very first year, in 2011, and it is such a significant part of the ethos of the Washington West Film Festival to our festival family and team. We passionately believe in and revere examples of people who not only tell incredible stories on the screen, but also with their lives tell incredible stories off the screen. We call this very special award our Sun City Storyteller of Hope Award, which is named after Oscar-nominated short film director David Dard, who also happens to be now on our advisory board. It was our very first closing night film in 2011, and it captures the essence of humanity serving after the earthquake in after the earthquake in Haiti, and was just a tearful film that makes you laugh and it makes you believe in humanity. So we've named our philanthropic award every year after Sun City Picture House. Remarkable film. The couple we're about to present this year's award to not only does so much for communities and for children around the world, but they're also extremely humble. They do not seek out awards, which is just another aspect that we love about the Duvall family, about Mr. and Mrs. Duvall. Over the past 2 years, the Washington West Film Festival has had the opportunity to watch generosity ooze from this caring couple. Whether for the blind, children without loving homes, or helping the kids of deployed servicemen and women, this couple believes in and encourages children and their families in many locations and many communities. Our board and our team are so very impressed by Luciana and Robert Duvall, by their whole story. So we believe this award is actually quite fitting. We're honored that you, Mr. and Mrs. Duvall, are our partners. We're honored and proud that you are partners in the good that we're working to present to communities and families together. You are partners in good and partners in hope. We're honored that you're here with us today, and we're so pleased to present our 2016 Sun City Storyteller of Hope Award to Luciana and Robert Duvall. Festival that cheers the loudest. Mr. Duvall, we are so honored to present this award for what you and Luciana do for children all around the world. We're proud to be your partners. We're proud to have been able to, with last year's box office proceeds, provide grants to 33 children of deployed servicemen and women. That's because of you and your passion. And Luciana is really such a force in this.
Where is she?
She's right here.
Where's my wife?
And
She's the driving force.
so we're going to take this Crystal Award, and Samantha will keep that safe for you. I have one more person to present as we kick off this event. Mr. Duvall, actually, if you'll sit in this seat. So we have a special guest with us. Chris King is one of our alumni directors. He directed last year's short film called Birthday that has just been Oscar qualified. It's now in consideration for an Oscar nomination this year. It's remarkable. Mr. and Mrs. Duvall invited us for a special screening to their home in April, where we had the opportunity to screen this amazing 17-minute short film. Chris is passionate about what we're going to do today, and he is a fan of this man's career. So would you join me in welcoming multiple award-winning director Chris King.
and gentlemen, so good to be here. Truly wonderful to be here today interviewing one of the world's most accomplished actors, Robert here. And as Brett mentioned, I'm an independent filmmaker from Roseville, California. Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah. Okay. I was at the event last year. My wife and my daughter came, and of course I got jealous because they came back with all these wonderful stories and photographs and pictures of how wonderful this was. So anyway, it's indeed a pleasure and an honor to be sitting across from you, sir.
Good to see you again. I may be voting for you this coming up.
Thank you.
Excellent film. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Whatever you do, don't tell your fellow Academy members about us either, you know.
I don't know too many of them.
Without further ado here, this is Bob Knight. I just called him Bob.
The children's night, too.
Robert Duvall landed his first major role in 1962 when he was cast as a slow but gentle town recluse, Boo Bradley, in Filmmaker. You have worked steadily ever since.
Pretty much. Sometimes not so much. You know, that was the beginning. Thanks to the wonderful Horton Foote, one of our great playwrights from Texas who made the adaptation, and he gave me the part. He was responsible. I'm forever grateful to Horton Foote for that.
He's, I'm going to just go ahead and say right now, I'm not going to be apologetic about my notes. Robert's filmography is so vast that I'm just going to need some notes to keep myself and you guys oriented with all of his projects. Robert's been nominated for an Academy Award 7 times, winning in 1983 for Tender Mercies. He's been... A little intro here before we start talking, okay? He's been nominated for 7 Golden Globes, winning 4, and has multiple nominations and 1 win each of the BAFTA, the Screen Actors Guild Award, and the Emmy Award. In 2003, he received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And in 2005, he was awarded the National Medal of the Arts at the White House. Yes. Okay.
Wow.
I stood up in the Oval Office. I don't know what prompted me. I started saying, America!
Did you really?
Yeah, it was great.
Anybody join in?
No, I was singing for... The Cuban clarinet player was there. He was a great guy.
Hey, just a house note here, just in terms of how this is going to run. Of course, we've got 8 film clips from some of Robert's more well-known films that we're going to show here tonight. In between those, we'll have, of course, Q&A. We want to ask Robert some questions here. So I don't believe we have a microphone circulating. So if you do have a question, raise your hand. I'll go ahead and pick you, but go ahead and speak loudly for you so we can so I can hear what your question is.
So when we see this, we get our heads out of the way, don't we? I mean,
you know what?
So you don't see me twice.
We're actually here's the line right here, so we're good. No need to duck. All right. So you were born in San Diego, but you eventually ended up in Maryland.
Well, back and forth in Virginia too, because my father was born in Virginia. He went to the Naval Academy when he was 16 years old. They let him in. So
okay.
He was stationed in San Diego, Annapolis, Maryland, San Diego. We moved back and forth.
Okay.
It dates me because we used to go see movies at the Marine base in San Diego for a dime. So that dates me.
Dime.
Yeah, a dime. Way back.
Nice. And so, but Virginia, how long have you been in Virginia now?
Quite a while now, over 20 years. We have a place in there. My wife's from Argentina, but she's a citizen now, and my wife says for her, Virginia is the last station before heaven.
Your father was an admiral, or he was a captain at first?
He was a captain and retired admiral, yeah, in the service.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And your mother, she was, now I heard, an amateur actress. I mean, is that like community?
Very amateur.
Gotcha.
She was okay, yeah. She was always pretending like she was an actor. We go away on a vacation, she'd come back and say, well, what did you tell them about me? She would say.
Oh, really?
Not much. We call her. She was a lot of fun,
Is that where you got, is that prior to you, when you got the bug for acting, or did you get it from her?
No, I got it because I was in school failing everything, and my parents pushed me into acting from a military family. That's how I got into into acting, because of them.
So they didn't push you into lawyering and doctoring. They pushed you into theater.
No, because I was floundering around, really.
Gotcha.
And then they had enough, I suppose, insight to, thank God, to find something for me.
Right.
Other than fighting in Korea.
Right. Well, you know what? I have a slew of questions here, but we still want to show these clips and hear from Robert. So let's go with our first clip here of Robert here in his major motion picture debut with Gregory Peck, To Kill a Mockingbird. We're good, yeah. You look like you were going to say something.
Well, I had one line, and they cut it. She led me home. I said, "Where's home?" And they cut that. That's okay, because she took me home anyway, which was right next door.
So I guess when people say that your first major role was a non-speaking role, that's not necessarily true. They just cut it.
Pretty much true.
Gotcha. How did you feel when you learned you got this part? I mean,
well, it was wonderful.
Yeah.
Horton Foote was my friend. He had seen me do a play at the neighborhood playhouse, where we did one of his plays. And the director of this was there that night, Mr. Mulligan. Kim Stanley was there, and it was a wonderful night. And about a year or so later, they said, "Well, what about his wife, Lillian Foote?" Said to Horton, "What about the young man that played in The Midnight Caller? He would be very good for Blue Rabbit." So that helped me get the part through Horton Foote's wife.
They came to see you?
Yeah, they
saw you and liked you?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
On a student level, but you know, it was a nice production.
How it had to have been a little intimidating going into this kind of a scene in this kind of a situation with your character with like literally no dialogue. I mean, that's so much acting without words.
Yeah, well, you just listen and try not to do anything. You know? And I knew I was okay, because when I touched the boy, I got goose pimples. So I figured I'm a goose pimple actor, and that made sense.
Right.
Then I was in touch with myself, which is the beginning and the end of acting. Really, is to be in touch with yourself in a relaxed, truthful way.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, Gregory Peck won the Oscar for Best Actor for this, and Horton, I believe, won the Best Adapted Screenplay Academy Award as well. Were you able to, as a cast member, were you able to attend the Academy Awards
I don't think I was there
that night? Okay. Now, you've had projects with Horton Foote, screenwriter, playwright Horton Foote for many times. What is it about?
He really helped me with my career a lot.
Yeah.
When I did like The Apostle, I sent him the script and asked him what he thought of it.
Right.
You know, and then made me an edit, which I also showed to Francis Coppola,
Yeah.
who did The Godfather, who helped me. Those two people kind of helped me in my career when I was coming up.
Nice.
Horton Foote and Coppola. So I would call them and ask advice, and they would give me advice. And it was a nice two-way thing that I had with Horton at that time. That he was very, very instrumental and very helpful. I did 3 or 4 films of his. One of my favorites that I did is, we did it in a theater called Tomorrow, from a Faulkner short story.
Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah, Tomorrow.
That we did is 25 performances in a garage theater way back off Broadway.
Right.
And from there we took it and did it as a movie down in Tupelo, Mississippi, in the black and white.
Beautiful black and white, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? Let's. I don't know if we're going to turn on the lights or because I'd like some Q&A. I'm sure you have a question. People have a question, 1 or 2 or 20 for Robert here for To Kill a Mockingbird. Maybe we're. Okay, there's a hand right there. Go ahead.
Mr. Duvall, thank you very much. You just alluded to the fact that, the scene that you were in was cut, and I guess this probably happens a lot as an actor or actress. Was there ever any scene in a movie that you really were ticked off that was cut?
I was ticked off.
Was there ever a scene in any of your other movies that you were very ticked off that was cut from the film?
A number of times. You're at the mercy. And I understand some of the young actors now that very boldly go into the editing room, which kind of say, well, how do they have the nerve to do that? But I don't blame them, because you really ultimately have to protect yourself. But there have been some, there have been some.
Okay, so go ahead.
Mr. Duvall, you're one of the great ones, and you've been around a lot of the great ones. You've also been around a lot of the not so great ones. What do you think?
Be specific.
What do you think separates the really great ones from the not so great ones?
Well, it's very relative because I've seen some of the great ones give wonderful performances, and people have the audacity to criticize them. So it's all relative. But you work with who you're put with, and you take whatever they give you. You have to take it and use it, and be grateful that you're there to begin with. So yeah, I've worked with some really terrific actors, and a lot of the young guys who are coming up are good. So there's always somebody around the corner that's good. So it's like athletics. So I'm not going to demean people who I thought maybe weren't as good as other people, but you know, you take what you get and you give back.
You know what? In terms of acting, you have said something to the effect of you try to do your best to see yourself in your potential state.
Well, no, you always try to. You know, there's some actors I won't name that they live in yesteryear now. Others don't, like a guy like Jimmy Caan. My friend James Caan still is in the potential, you know, and Gene Hackman was too before he retired. And there were others, but I think that, what was the question again?
No, you said you have said in an interview in the past that you like to see yourself always in the potential
state. Always. As long as I'm going to be doing this, I want to try to get a little better.
I see.
You know, I'm working on something now that's very unique and wonderful, and I'm working on it very hard. And when it comes to fruition, hopefully, then I can get all the experience from my past and let it work for me in a positive way, in a positive direction. Yeah.
Got another one here before?
Some up front.
Yeah. Okay.
I had one of my favorite directors once said to me that a good actor borrows from another actor, but a great actor steals.
But a great actor steals? Have you heard that before?
Never, never. Who said that?
One of the directors said that if you want to be a good actor, will watch a more accomplished actor's performance and get good ideas from them, and a great actor will watch a more accomplished actor's performance and steal the ideas that they get from them.
Brando, who was like our guy, used to watch Candid Camera. So he got it from that. I always like to watch, not other actors, not other performers, although I admire certain people, I always like to watch documentaries to get as lifelike behavior as possible.
Truth.
And maybe the stealing process, I'll have to think about it.
Okay. You can get back to me on that.
You'll get your email address.
Yeah.
Okay, now early in your career, you received a pretty soul-crushing review, didn't you?
You remember.
You bet.
Are you going to read it, or I'm going to read it?
I think you have it to memory.
Listen, I did a performance once. I should have never been in the play because the guy at the Actors Studio, it was a George Bernard Shaw play, and he had us lying, doing sense memory. So why would you do that in a George Bernard Shaw play? They didn't at the Actors Studio. They were very limited and didn't understand that. So my mother was in Europe, and my father said, he called me, Bernie, hey, Bernie, I read the newspaper about you. It was pretty bad. I think he realized that. One likened me to Liberace. I had to get off the bus because I was ill. And then I read the next day, the review was, this is years ago, and I don't even remember the good ones. I don't usually read them, but I did read these. They said, Shaw has invented some impossible young men in his plays, but never one so revolting as the romantic young interest in this one. And the character is made even less palatable by Robert Duvall, whose spine tends towards a figuresque, whose diction is flannel-coated, and whose simpering expressions are moronic. That was Frances Harris, and later on she gave me good, you know, you do get... Then I was on a play in England, and it wasn't too good. Somebody had a line in the play. In the play, it was like, well, what are we doing? What are we all doing here? And somebody in the audience says, I don't know what you're doing. but
Other than that, you nailed it.
but one of the best, the two best reviews I ever got were Lonesome Dove and American Buffalo on Broadway. American Buffalo, directed by my great friend. They said it was the best production ever of that play. Pacino's or anybody. My friend Ula Grossbart was wonderful. So now I wouldn't even invite my parents because the language was so rough. So rough. And so, I mean, but like people would make fun. I'd say my line, get peanuts and throw it on somebody in the audience, and the language was flying around. And a woman during intermission came up and said she wanted her money back. This was a terrible play. She couldn't stand the fucking language. And you know, reviews are reviews. I don't usually read them. My best work, if I feel I've done good, then I go to the source. Like when I played a Cuban barber, I worked on that accent. I would only eat with Cubans. I would only go to places in Miami with Cuban people. And when I went to Cuba about 5 or 6 years ago, we were looking for locations, they said I got it.
Nice.
Cuban people said I got it.
From the horse's mouth.
Yes, they said I got it. So that, when you go to the source, the same as when I played Stalin, I got feedback from Nikita Mikhailkov's father, who worked 8 times under Stalin. And he said I touched the soul of Stalin. And then there was a man that lived in a room in Moscow when we worked there. His books were all over the place. Just a scholar, like a homemade scholar, just a Chekhovian character. And when I went back to see it, he said he doubted that I could. Then he said, every scene, you got it, you got it. And he said to me, do you think Stalin was bad? He said, Stalin was devil from birth, he said. So, you know,
that's great.
If I hear from the source,
yeah,
like
you'll take a source rather than a critic.
Yeah,
any day.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. So I usually don't read the critics now. I have read them in the past.
Right.
But you know, sometimes they're okay. But there's always absolute. This is no good. They don't break it down because they don't understand acting. They don't understand direction. So it's all a blanket thing usually by certain critics.
Yeah. Armchair quarterbacking.
Yeah.
Now many of us know about Robert's film and TV work, from The Godfather on up till now, and of course To Kill a Mockingbird. But you had a wealth of experience prior to his more well-known films. Some of them being Playhouse 90, Alfred Hitchcock Presents.
Oh. I wouldn't do it. Go ahead. That was another
Naked City, The Untouchables, Route 66, The Twilight Zone, The Outer Limits, The Fugitive. Again, the list is gigantic. You, at this point in your career, you had to have been feeling pretty darn good about your employability, first of all, and just where you were in the
but there were long interim periods of unemployment that, you kept waiting, when's the next job coming? When's the next job? Yeah.
You weren't going from project to project to project?
Not completely, no.
Gotcha.
Not at all.
Okay. You've done some iconic roles, some amazing films over the years, and you probably hear a line or two from them all the time. Is it kind of refreshing and kind of nice to hear from somebody, hey, I loved this film or that film? That is sort of one of your lesser known films, or a line film.
Yeah, like some woman came up to me and says, I knew you back when you were nobody. I said, lady, I've always been somebody. And then somebody else said, I hear you're an actor of sorts. You get it from all sides.
In 1972, you mentioned Tomorrow. Again, an amazing black and white film. If you can find it, it is kind of hard to find, but it is an amazing film to watch. By the way, Billy Bob had to have borrowed your voice.
They say that, but I don't. Maybe not. Billy Bob's a good friend. When he did Sling Blade, he did. But when I did Tomorrow, I did talk like a damn cow.
Sure did.
Talk like a cow.
Right.
A guy I heard in southern Missouri talk like that.
And of course, this is 25 or whatever years prior to Sling Blade, and if you do get a hold of it, it is amazing the similarity between Billy Bob's
Billy
character.
Bob is so talented. I talked to him the other day. He's such a talented guy. Lucy, my wife says he's probably maybe the smartest guy she's ever met. One of them.
Terrific,
Just
right?
as a smart guy.
Terrific writer, too.
Yeah, very good writer.
Yeah.
That's true Southern voice. True Southern voice,
Right.
yeah. He's a character. I can tell you stories about that.
Okay. All right, okay. Also in 1972, Robert did another lesser-known film, kind of obscure, called The Godfather.
I know where he's going.
We'll catch it after the clip, though. Here, Robert plays Tom Hagen, the family counsel, the concierge. Am I saying it right?
Concierge. I always tell people I love playing Tom Hogan. He says Hagen. I always kid
Hogan. Okay, family counsel for the Don Corleone family. Let's go ahead and roll this clip from the American classic, The Godfather.
Forgot the scene, and it's been so long.
You don't play your films on the weekends? Like,
No, I don't. Forget them.
This is your first Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor. That had been pretty exciting. I mean, so many of the announcements for the Academy Awards are like in the morning. It's a big production. In in '72, how did you hear that you were nominated?
For this one?
Yes.
I told you so long ago, I can't remember anything. So long ago.
Gotcha.
I guess somebody called me up and told me.
Now, you worked with Francis Ford Coppola a little bit before in the Rain People.
Rain People,
yes.
yeah.
Is this how you were sort of what was your process?
Well, there was another actor in the Rain People that it didn't work out. They had to get rid of him. So Jimmy Kahn, we were friends before, got him to call me in, and then when they did like informal auditions and for The Godfather, we improvised, and because of the Rain People, it was a stepping stone, so to speak.
I see. In the whole improvisation process.
Somewhat, yeah.
Yeah. Or excuse me, improvisation / audition process. Was it Francis going, okay, so you look like you might play this character?
Yeah, no, he put me in that, and then Jimmy wanted to play Al's part, but then then they switched it around. It was like politics all over the place, but then it worked out, you know.
Now you guys go back a little bit in terms of roommates. James Caan and Dustin Hoffman.
No, I knew Jimmy after I knew Dustin.
Gotcha.
And I used to stay with.
He's got roommates, right?
Yeah, Dusty was
right.
My brother, and Marie Stern. But I used to stay with Jimmy when I would go out, and he said, "Oh, yeah, my dogs. You had pit bulls." I said, "Yeah, this is good. How come the Mexican gardener's up the tree if your dogs are so great?" Chase the milkman. I mean,
right.
But Jimmy's great. He's just an unpredictable guy, and we've been friends since then. I've kept that friendship up more than the other guys, really.
And quite the cut-up on set.
Oh, Brando loved Jimmy Kahn because Jimmy gets so quick.
Yeah.
And Brando's a little slow, so Jimmy would tell a story and take Brando like 3 seconds and go, and he'd get it. 3 seconds later, you know.
I got to ask you about the wedding, the wedding sequence at the
I know what's coming
of The Godfather. There's a certain incident that takes place.
Well, you mean all the mooning?
Yes.
Everybody was mooning, and like Brando would read his lines. He was a master at doing that. And right before take, we'd put a wedding invitation, then we'd have to stop, and Coppola said, "Come on, guys, be serious," because
right.
It was fun. It was keep people relaxed.
Right.
Are you talking about the garden scene out at?
Indeed.
Okay. Blame him. Okay. We were there and we were mooning and everything, so Brando was going to have a mooning championship belt. So he went for his belt, I went for my belt. Our pants came, and Coppola said, "Come here, the women and children here, you can't. He said, "No," so we kept going and going and going. And finally, and we mooned. And one woman said, "I can't believe this," she said to her friend. "You were fine, Mr. Duvall," but she said to her friend, "But did you catch the balls on that Brando?" True story.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. I heard also a story about Marlon Brando did not like to read scripts, so he would have the script put on boards.
Yeah, there, and also on the big garden scene with Pacino, he'd lean back like this, and he'd have them written on a tree. And then he'd say them and everything. They put them on me like a thing, you know. Yeah. And then with Luca Brasi one time,
Yeah.
We said, no, you know, mess with the guy, mess with, no, it's got, no, mess. So, oh Godfather, may you have a beautiful song, da 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 da. And he stuck his tongue out. F you had written. And Brando, oh, he loved it. He loved messing around. He loved Jimmy Kahn. Jimmy is so fun, so fun. Yeah.
Godfather 1 and 2, of
Yeah.
course, just masterpieces in
Yeah.
themselves. Godfather 3 rolls around, but you didn't participate in that one. Why? What happened with Godfather?
Because they wanted to pay me about as much money as you get this afternoon. I said, if you want to pay Pacino twice what you pay me, fine, but not 2 and 3 and 4 times.
Right.
So Coppola parked his limo with his driver at my other farm over near Delaplane, and he came down, and all he wanted to at first was my mother's crab cake recipe, because he loved my mother's crab cake recipe. So I wrote it out for him, I made him for him, and we talked about The Godfather, and he left, he forgot the recipe. He kept calling. He was more concerned about the recipe than what I do. But it boiled down to money.
Right.
Why not?
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go for some questions here. I'm sure. Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Duvall, so undoubtedly you're one of the most versatile actors in our times, but the two films that really speak out to me, having been born in Sicily, is obviously Godfather 1 and 2. I was somewhat disappointed that you didn't do 3, but you explained why. But my question is, you certainly did a remarkable job in the Sicilian culture. And I was wondering, what did you do to prepare for that role, to understand Sicilians and how the mafia works?
What did you do to prepare for your role as Tom Hagen and just familiarize yourself? Did you reference Puzo's book a lot? Or?
The book was okay.
Okay.
The movie was better. Lonesome Dove was a great book, and we tried to come up to it. But
Okay.
what I did was, my friend Louis Cosentino from East Harlem, we went to the neighborhood playhouse together, and he was more nervous than I was, so we became friends. Louis Cosentino, his brother worked construction right next to the theater company where we studied.
Okay.
And he told me stories. I introduced, there was a guy, Carmine Tremonti. There were 5 families in New York, and in East Bronx, Tremonti ran the family. So he told me how he had a friend who was like a gopher for Tremonti, would light his cigarette, would hold his chair, and if you belittle that guy's position, look out.
Yeah.
So that was the only thing that really was a guide for me. When I became like somewhat of a street millionaire gopher for Brando's character. Light his cigarette, do anything for him, as an adopted son. But as an adopted son, I couldn't step over, nor could I step over that line as an actor. But I took it from that story that my friend told me about the gopher that Carmine Tremonti had up in East Bronx, in reality. Yeah. Sometimes a simple thing can give you a whole arc.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mr. Duvall, thank you so much for what all you do for the Washington West Film Festival, and please continue. I hope you will. My question is, and it goes back to Kill a Mockingbird, and I'm not sure if I heard right that it was filmed in Tupelo, Mississippi, or
Which
not?
was that now?
Mockingbird.
Where was it filmed?
No, on the back lot of Universal.
Oh, okay.
The back lot movie, yeah.
Okay,
They built the
then
sets.
I think my question is really irrelevant, because my question was, I just finished reading the book, Pat Conroy, the author, and his life.
Right.
And when he went to teach right after college, and he's another military brat, but he was teaching in Buford, South Carolina, and he was teaching the book To Kill a Mockingbird, and he was fired because he was teaching his students that. And my question to you was, if you filmed it in South Carolina or anywhere in the South, was the film crew treated in the same manner? But my question's irrelevant.
Well, boy, we could get into politics, but I won't. I mean, sometimes people don't treat the local people so good when they go on location. But we did film it on the back lot, and I think that Pat Conroy was at the Citadel in South Carolina, I think.
Yes, he was.
Yeah. when I later did the Great Santini.
Right.
Yeah.
Another question?
Yes, Mr. King?
Yes.
I have a question. What was your motivation for writing the Ismet switch?
Oh my gosh. Sorry, this is Shane. This is my friend from the military from 20 years ago. Sorry, sorry. Thank you, Shane. Another question from Mr. Duvall.
No, that's fine.
He asked a question from me in my military days.
Oh, okay.
Unrelated, sorry.
You are such a prominent actor, but when you were starting out your acting career, what do you think would you consider the most important thing to do when starting out?
Ooh, just
The most important thing to do when starting out.
try to live in the potential, try to live, you know, to make your craft better, get with a group. To get with a group, you can't do things completely individual, as an individual.
In a vacuum, yeah.
You have to get with a group, you know, and be curious and try to, you know, you try. Somebody said try to do parts that you live in your imagination, and try to see what your imagination dictates. And that can come in daydreams and daydreams at night when you wake up. That's when I do some of my best creative thinking. I get up and run and write it down.
I got a notepad behind you, right?
Yeah, something like that. But to always be willing to learn and get better.
1979 was quite a year for you. Correction, it was quite a year for all of us. You teamed up again with Francis Ford Coppola on the great war epic Apocalypse Now. Here is a clip of Robert as Lieutenant Colonel Bill Kilgore, and the phrase the American Film Institute listed as the 12th most famous line in cinema history.
What were the other 11?
I don't remember.
When people ask you to say that line, do you indulge them?
Well, they know it before I say it before I
Oh, they
know
say
it.
it to you.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That was interesting, because when I went over there, the part was a little overwritten. It was written as Colonel Carnage. So that was a little too much.
Yeah.
So I got over there, they had him in a cowboy hat, but you know, I did a little bit of homework in the Air Cavalry, where there's a museum now at Fort Hood, Texas. They did wear cavalry hats, spurs,
Right.
cross sabers, you know, like the old cavalry, then tanks, and now the air cavalry. So Coppola let me indulge in a good way in finding my own costume, talking with pilots that had been there in Vietnam, and I kind of formed my character that way.
I'm a military man myself, Army. My twin brother here in the crowd, 23 years Air Force. I'm noting that because when you're in the military, you definitely know the mindset of an officer in the military, especially combat infantry, assault, cavalry like this. What did you do your research from the script? How did you come?
Once again, it was a quick thing like
Yeah.
that. When I was in the Army, and as a draftee in Fort Bragg and also in Rucker, I always noticed the way the special service officers stood, the way they related, the way they kind of postured
A
themselves.
little swagger.
Well, yeah, but within themselves,
Yeah.
not in a. And
Ready.
so it kind of came my way. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I know.
And there was a reduct. You know, there was a remake of it.
Indeed.
A re-edit of the whole film.
And you know what? I was listening to a piece of that where it says that you actually liked that version better, but I didn't hear your answer why.
Well, one of the reasons I liked it because they left out the original was that I probably killed the parents, but I saved the baby and put it in my helicopter to save back to be medically treated.
I see.
And they had left it out in the first edit, the first version. And so it was very important that my character had some heart.
A little humanity.
Other than just like a killer or something.
Right. Before we go to Q&A, because I know we've probably got a bunch of them, you know, some of the ferocity of Apocalypse Now I think works so well because, you know, the helicopter shots were all shot inside of a helicopter. It's not the CGI, not the special effects that we see in this day and age.
Right,
Do you think Apocalypse Now, if made today, which, as you can imagine, would be filled with CGI, do you think it would still would have worked on the same level?
They might have had to use some of the CGI.
Yeah.
Coppola likes to direct from a trailer now, but could be. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it could be. It just, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. Really.
Yeah. You never know until it happens. Yes. Sir.
Hi. I view Apocalypse Now as one of the greatest films ever made. And my question to you was, during production, there were a whole slew of difficulties. Weather, Brando, Sheen's heart attack. And I was wondering if you yourself suffered any of the detriments that plagued the set, and something personal to you.
Did I see some of that, you say?
No, if there was...
if he had any medical maladies himself?
No, like some kind of personal struggle.
Oh, I see.
Like that.
No, I was in shape. What's the question?
He was just wondering if you had any, I guess, sort of either psychological or emotional, challenges yourself while you were on that set, which seemed certainly to be a crazy set.
Well, no, it just was, it was many things. I had to leave it in the middle to go to England to do something, to come back, because it was over a year and many things happened. Marty Sheen had a heart attack.
Yeah.
The first 2 weeks, they had an actor they fired, so Marty came in to take over. And I'm glad, because in the first 2 weeks I was so afraid in that helicopter. It was pathetic what I was doing up there. But in that 2-week interim period, then I kind of got used to the helicopter, because there were no doors and anything like that. But
right.
I wasn't in on some of the hardships that they really faced there.
Right. The whole surfing aspect, was that an invention of yours, or part of the script?
No, it was in the thing.
It was in the script.
Because in the 6-Day War in Israel, the head colonel or one of the generals, they couldn't find him. When they finally won, he was off scuba diving. So it's true, you know.
Really?
And some of the Marines, some of your friends, downplay some of this. But I talked to guys in the air cavalry, they'd go over into the enemy lines, and they'd hook with their helicopter and steal a bicycle, and they'd do crazy things. And the head general, the head colonel, would deer hunt once a week along the Cambodian border. Yeah. And he was killed. Air cavalry. So they were little nuts.
So if it could have happened
in reality.
Yeah, I see. Another question.
Yeah, hi. I'm curious, in terms of the scene we just watched, I noticed that your character did not flinch when things exploded around.
Everybody asked that. Go ahead.
And it was fascinating, because I wondered if it was a directorial choice or an actor's choice, because it really imbued your character with this kind of incredible fearlessness.
It's a movie. No, you know, and it's character, and yeah, he's like, you know, impervious to danger in a way, to a point of not lunacy, but maybe semi-lunacy, but you know. Yeah,
so that was your choice?
Probably, maybe so, yeah.
He's an amazing character of such contradictions.
Yeah, the ones they don't show, I've forgotten. Like I'm talking to somebody, said, there's so-and-so a champion surfer, I just leave the guy and go over to that guy, because he was so into surfing, you know. Yeah. But,
you know, I think what made some of his characterization so powerful and unique was among the chaos of what was happening on the battle, you know, all the bombs going off, the helicopters everywhere, yet he still had the presence of mind to seek the potential of the beach waves, you know, and order them to go. I mean, he was...
Exactly, but he was still, you got to surf still.
Yeah.
In the middle of the battle, you got to surf.
Right.
So, but it was interesting doing that. It was very interesting working on that. Coco, we'd get 20 helicopters a day. Right. And we'd end up with 6, because they would go down to the pending revolution with the Muslims in southern Philippines.
The actual fighting.
The actual fighting. Coppola would break, a worse fit than an actor ever gave. He'd break brakes, he'd stomp on, you know, the boards and everything. But there were so many difficult things, but they didn't come my way so much. I enjoyed myself over there. The people were wonderful that helped us. You know, and then we went back, though, 3 years later, to the film festival.
Yeah.
And just
Cannes.
Right, Marcos was there. And Madame Marcos had the hots for George Hamilton. Sit down and she said like this, you know, it was funny. She bought him a house back in the States.
The exchange number and all that.
Yeah.
Another question? Yeah.
Great. Mr. Duvall, what do you look for in a script when you're considering a role?
The first thing is the character. What can I do with this character? Maybe a little different. Then you think of the whole thing, and then you think who's going to direct it and who's in it. But usually, it's I've always been drawn to what the character and what I might be able to do with that, and do something different than I haven't done before with other characters. That's the first thing.
Another question? Yeah.
To sort of tag on to that, you've obviously taken many amazing roles. Are there any roles that you turned down or that you regret not accepting?
I did turn down. I turned down the lead in Jaws, but I wanted the other part. But I was too young.
Talking about Robert Shaw?
Yeah, I was too young for that part to play the Portuguese guy. There are other parts that I'm trying to think I turned down maybe, but I'd have to think about it. But there've been some. Yeah, but there've been some, maybe not too many. Some that I couldn't take, you know. Lately, I'm kind of slowing down a little bit. I've turned a couple down from some really good English directors. But we're working on a beautiful thing now. I won't go into it, but you know. But there've been things that I've turned down that maybe I shouldn't have. Things that I've taken and done that I tend to forget completely.
That's code for Chris. Don't ask me about it.
Oh boy.
Okay, well, in 1980, Robert also received a Best Actor nomination for his role as the hardcore Marine Corps pilot Bull Meacham in The Great Santini. After the film came out, film critic Vincent Canby wrote this of Robert in the New York Times. By the way, this noise that you're hearing, I guess, is this metal.
Yeah, it's like from the wind.
Flapping, so pardon the interruptions here. Vincent Canby wrote this about Robert in the New York Times when The Great Santini came out. Now it's about time to recognize Robert Duvall as one of the most resourceful, most technically proficient, most remarkable actors in America today. And when I say one of, I don't mean to weasel out of anything. I think he may very well be the best we have, the American Olivier. That's kind of nice.
Wow.
But he's dead and gone, and I don't read him anymore. Some of them I don't, you know, and it's always a matter of opinion, and he was a well-respected gentleman, and I appreciate those comments.
The basketball bouncing off of Michael O'Keefe's head, was that scripted?
Could have been, but we had to find our own way of doing it.
It was such amazing.
Yeah, we had to find our own way of doing it.
And I'll bet after several takes, he was like, "Okay, come on, let's wrap this up."
Probably. Yeah.
Probably. You know what? It looked like his character just sort of needed a conflict at all times with someone or something. I mean, what kind of research did you do for Bull?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I went to, that I did a little bit more. I went to, down in Ladies Island. No, down in
South Carolina.
South Carolina. I'll tell you one of my favorite stories. And I got up early when the Marine, drill sergeants got up.
Right.
They were like this from yelling so much that I went through each step of the way with them. I hung out with the Marines. I listened to them, their stories and everything.
Yeah.
So I really hung with them, and they said, "You can't go up in a play because it's too dangerous." When the film was over, now you can go up. I said, "No, I'm not going up now." But I mean, it was great hanging out with the Marines.
Yeah.
And I went and found my own place to live. I went to the real estate office, and somebody, "Who's that?" "Well, there's a submarine out here looking to find a place to live." Right. So I never forget. I'll never forget this story as long as I live. There was a small house on a little inlet, and I went, "It's a beautiful house. I can maybe rent that while I'm doing this movie." So I went up and knocked on this door, and this wonderful little southern lady came out. And I explained, I said, "Maybe I could rent this house. It's so beautiful." And it's this lovely lady. Would you ever think of renting it? And she looked at me and she said, "But where would I go?" Oh, thank you, man. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, in oh, wait a minute, I gotta ask you about this. The Great Santini, I guess, had a couple alternate titles.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they put it on airplanes.
Because they were
The Ace?
concerned that it might have been, people might misconstrue it about a film about a circus acrobat.
The Ace.
The Great Santini.
And there was another one.
Let's see, Sons and Heroes.
Really?
Reaching Out.
Reaching Out.
In a world where pilots double as circus acrobats. Hey, in 1983, Robert went on to play alcoholic country singer Max Sledge in Tender Mercies.
An original screenplay by Horton Foote. Wonderful Horton
Right.
Foote, yeah. We did do that on location in Texas, near Corsicana, Texas.
Yeah. In a project that almost didn't happen, but it eventually would go on to win 5 Academy Awards. Let's go ahead and see a clip here of Robert's Academy Award-winning performance in Tender Mercies.
I wrote that song.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, Robert wins the Academy Award for this, and Horton Foote got the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay as well.
And I had Johnny Cash and June Carter sitting there with me in the second row.
Is that right? Well, the country music industry really embraced this film.
Yeah, well,
I mean, you did
yeah, I
your
got
homework.
but when Waylon Jennings said you did what you did the impossible. You couldn't do it, but you did it. You made it play the Texans. So
Right.
that was good. That was the best feedback I could get.
I can imagine.
Waylon guy.
Let's
We became good friends over that and everything like that.
Oh, nice. Let's go right with Q&A here. Question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually you play a good guy. I'm curious about your favorite role as a villain. I think of True Grit or the Natural, where you're sort of nasty sports writer. What's your favorite villain role?
There's no such thing as a villain. It's a mix. There's always a mix.
Tell us about that.
What was the first one you said?
Just what was the True Grit?
Yeah, True Grit is not one of my favorite movies at all.
Yeah. He played Ned Pepper in True Grit opposite John Wayne.
Yeah, it was okay. I like working with John Wayne. It was great working with John Wayne.
Right.
Great working with
Good guy to...
But you can't play just a villain, though. It's got to be... Like when I played Stalin, I had to find something human about the guy.
Right.
When I played Adolf Eichmann, I had to find something human. And what I really found was a wife from Argentina. that I brought up here. I brought up here and oh, thank you, dude. This is the wife. The real Eichmann got,
right,
executed.
Yeah.
But I got the better deal of the two Eichmanns.
It's the whole the worst villains are the ones that are just pure evil aspect of it.
Yeah, but you got to find something good about it.
Yeah.
I found something good about Stalin.
Yeah.
I found it, at least in me,
Yeah.
something there that you just can't be all of one thing or another. Really.
Right. Indeed, we'll come back to Stalin here in a second. We have another.
Can we come back to what you just said, please, about writing that and put us in the scene? How did that song occur to you? Did it?
Well, I think the scene was that we may have improvised. We improvised that scene, and the little boy, he's grown up now. So we just kind of improvised the scene, and I sang the song and showed him what chords I was playing, the chord progression and everything like that, and we just kind of improvised it, really. And it was a song I had written. Not that I write many songs, but
Yeah.
I had written that. Because I always liked country music. I lived in an apartment in New York with a 30-foot ceiling that belonged to Enrico Caruso. I should have never sold it because, I never had guidance on those things, but I could have made a fortune now. So all the people from the Metropolitan would come, ho, 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 they practice in that building, and I would play Lefty Frizzell records, and they say, please don't play those records. I say, no, it's my apartment, I'll play what I want. But, you know, I always lived for light country music. I always have since, you know,
Right.
Roy Acuff and all the guys since I was little.
And you did some, I heard that you listened to a bunch of tapes, or you recorded people from the area, because you wanted to get their...
Some, yeah. I went around and said, what are you looking for? I'm looking for accents, you know, like we went all over, yeah, Texas, and yeah, it was great. You know, it was great working with Horton Foote once again.
Yeah.
Great working with Horton Foote. One of our wonderful writers, a bit unsung at times, you know. But, and they built, the set designer was a wonderful young woman, the set designer.
Yeah.
She built that little gas station in the house and everything like that. And Pauline Kael didn't like the movie, but that's okay. I thought she was a bit fraudulent anyway. Explain that later.
In 1989, Robert did a miniseries that came to television that you've called your favorite part, that you oftentimes have called your favorite part. It's many consider it to be one of the best miniseries ever made. He won a Golden Globe and earned an Emmy nomination for his role as Texas Ranger turned cattle pusher Augustus McCrae in The Lonesome Dove.
And my wife still hasn't seen it. But they made me an honorary Texas Ranger a couple of years ago, and they gave me a pistol and everything. And during that nice night, we were all had a wonderful time. A woman came up to me, because in Texas and other places too, but especially Texas, once a year or more, families will gather to watch this like the Bible.
Right.
So a woman came up to me and says, Mr. Duvall, I love Gus, the play, I love the Lonesome Dove. She said, I would not allow my daughter's fiance to marry into the family until he had seen Lonesome Dove.
That was the deciding factor.
Yeah, right. So Texas is a big thing in Texas, Lonesome Dove.
Awesome. Hey, let's go ahead and take a look at Robert here with Robert Urich in The Lonesome Dove.
I suppose you have a...
I wrote that song.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, Robert wins the Academy Award for this, and Horton Foote got the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay as well.
And I had Johnny Cash and June Carter sitting there with me in the second row.
Is that right? Well, the country music industry really embraced this film.
Yeah, well,
I mean, you did
I
your
get
homework.
but Waylon Jennings said you did what you did the impossible. You couldn't do it, but you did it. You made it play the Texans. So you know,
Right.
that was good. That was the best critic feedback I could get.
I can imagine.
Waylon guy. We became good friends over that and everything like that.
Oh, nice. Let's go right with Q&A here. Question?
Yeah.
You know, usually you play a good guy. I'm curious about your favorite role as a villain. I think of True Grit or the Natural, where you're sort of a nasty sports writer. What's your favorite villain role?
There's no such thing as a villain. There's a mix. There's always a mix.
Tell us about that.
What was the first one you said?
Just what was the... True Grit.
Yeah, True Grit was not one of my favorite movies at all.
Yeah. You played Ned Pepper in True Grit opposite John Wayne.
Yeah, it was okay. I like working with John Wayne. It was great working with John Wayne.
Right.
Great working.
Good guy to...
But you know, you can't play just a villain, though. It's got to be... Like when I played Stalin, I had to find something human about the guy.
Right.
When I played Adolf Eichmann, I had to find something human. And what I really found was a wife from Argentina. that I brought up here. I brought up here and oh, thank you, Dave. This is the wife. and the real Eichmann got, you know, executed.
Yeah.
But I got the better deal of the two Eichmanns.
It's the whole. The worst villains are the ones that are just pure evil aspect of it.
Yeah, but you got to find something good about it. I found something good about Stalin. Yeah. I found it, you know, at least in me, something there that you just can't be all of one thing or another. Really.
Right. Indeed, we'll come back to Stalin here in a second. We have another.
Can we come back to what you just said, please, about writing that and put us in the scene? How did that song occur to you? Did it?
Well, I think the scene was that we may have improvised. We improvised that scene, and the little boy, he's grown up now. So we just kind of improvised the scene, and I sang the song and showed him what chords I was playing, the chord progression and everything like that, and we just kind of improvised it, really. And it was a song I had written. Not that I write many songs, but
Yeah.
I had written that because I always liked country music. I lived in an apartment in New York with a 30-foot ceiling that belonged to Enrico Caruso. I should have never sold it because, you know, I never had good guidance on those things, but I could have made a fortune now. So all the people from the Metropolitan would come, ho, 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 they practice in that building, and I would play Lefty Frizzell records, and they say, please don't play those records. I say, no, it's my apartment, I'll play what I want. But, you know, I always lived to like country music. I always have since, you know,
Right.
Roy Acuff and all the guys since I was little.
And you did some, I heard that you listened to a bunch of tapes, or you recorded people from the area, because you wanted to get their...
Some, yeah. I went around and said, what are you looking for? I'm looking for accents, you know, like we went all over, yeah, Texas, and yeah, it was great. You know, it was great working with Horton Foote once again.
Yeah.
Great working with Horton Foote. One of our wonderful writers, a bit unsung at times, you know. But, and we built, the set designer was a wonderful young woman, the set designer.
Yeah.
She built that little gas station in the house and everything like that. And Pauline Kael didn't like the movie, but that's okay. I thought she was a bit fraudulent anyway. Explain that later.
In 1989, Robert did a miniseries that came to television that you've called your favorite part, that you oftentimes have called your favorite part. It's many consider it to be one of the best miniseries ever made. He won a Golden Globe and earned an Emmy nomination for his role as Texas Ranger turned cattle pusher Augustus McCrae in The Lonesome Dove.
And my wife still hasn't seen it. But they made me an honorary Texas Ranger a couple of years ago, and they gave me a pistol and everything. And during that nice night, we were all had a wonderful time. A woman came up to me, because in Texas and other places too, but especially Texas, once a year or more, families will gather to watch this like the Bible.
Right.
So a woman came up to me and says, Mr. Duvall, I love you, Gus, the play, I love the Lonesome Dove. She said, I would not allow my daughter's fiance to marry into the family until he had seen Lonesome Dove.
That was the deciding factor.
Yeah, right. So Texas is a big thing in Texas, Lonesome Dove.
Awesome. Hey, let's go ahead and take a look at Robert here with Robert Urich in The Lonesome Dove.
I suppose you have a...
Again, we're moving on. Sorry, we would just want to save some more Q&A for the last, so we're moving on right away here with 1997. You wrote and directed a passion project of yours, to say the very least, called The Apostle. For many, it served as for many, it has served as a master class in acting. Others just call it simply a masterpiece. This was hard to finance. This was hard to get money for.
Right.
Yeah. Tell us about the process of making.
I came out of my pocketbook. Yeah, I got it back plus change, but that was all.
But you had to make it happen.
Yeah. And,
It had to.
And my CPA said you could do it. He was a very conservative guy, so
Yeah.
we just jumped in and did it finally. Because had we done it in Hollywood, we would have had to done it like Hollywood, and would have been as realistic, and they would have paid me a lot of money. But,
Right.
But it was a great experience. And, once again, I guess I got good notices, but I got a letter from Brando in my house. He accepted it, and then I heard that Billy Graham accepted it. So I got it from the secular and from the religious. I felt good about that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at a clip here from The Apostle. Another Best Actor nomination for you. June Carter Cash, Farrah Fawcett. I mean, what a cast you had that you had to work with here.
You bet.
Tell us about your whole process.
Well, it was wonderful. You know, I saw Farrah Fawcett play a part, and everybody said, "Oh, she's this beauty girl."
Yeah.
She played it where she was beaten up in, I forget the name of
The extremity.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
So we got her, and then we got so Horton Foote once again. He liked what I did. He said, like, now you got this one to play that one. He said, now who played Tussie? Did you get some woman from Texas? She was wonderful. I said, no, that's Miranda Richardson from London, England, a classical actress who did a Texas accent.
What a great actor.
Yeah, so we try to put things together, you know. And mix, once again, if a non-actor or a first-time actor will step across the line, sometimes if they have a certain actor's faith, as we call it, then they have no bad habits. There's purity there.
Yeah.
And they can put the professional actor on notice. So sometimes we use the first-time actors, and those ladies that fell really in the spirit, they were like right out of the churches. We took them right out of the churches.
Right. You listened to a bunch of preachers, didn't you?
Oh, for years.
Yeah.
I was doing an off-Broadway play, The Days and Nights of B.B. Fenstermaker. So I told this before, maybe. But I got off a plane in Nashville, in Memphis. I said, I'm going across the border to Hughes, Arkansas, with this character I play in this off-Broadway play. I went in there was road workers from Louisiana let me sleep in, but there was no hotel. I went out at night. There were all three races. The Chinese owned everything, all the stores. Of the three races, they were the most prosperous. The sheriff gave me a dirty look. I couldn't wait the next morning to get the bus out of there. I walked down the street, and there was a little clapboard church. I went in, and there was a woman preacher, Pentecostal preacher, a holiness preacher, and a man on a guitar. I said, I've never seen anything like this. I said, someday I have to do this. It took me years and years and years to get a script and finally to get that off the ground, to put that in fictional form, but to use real people from the churches to help supplement, the reality of it all, to make it work. And somebody said, yeah, but you have everybody this, and I said, listen, these people believe you don't get into heaven unless you shout. So that's part of the deal, see?
Right. And really work yourself up into a lather.
Yeah, that's the way they are,
And it's a very cinema verite type of approach you guys took. It looks a very documentary style, which I know you're a fan of.
Yeah, I like going back to Count of Close way back and Cash, the movie Cash, and some of the Apple by the little 17-year-old girl from Iran, wonderful director. So like when I first saw some of those films, I said, I know it's not a documentary, I know it's fiction, but it's so real that it's down the middle. So we tried to do that, and within the form, I tried to let people have their space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's great truth in that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's a Southern thing, it's a Texas thing, and it's you get up way north, different. Well, they have those churches, but they don't understand the mindset of the people necessarily.
Right. Along with many more films leading into 2014, Robert turned in yet another gripping performance in the small-town courtroom drama, The Judge, opposite Robert Duvall. That just looked like a fun project to do.
Yeah, I got one or two left. It was great working with Robert Downey and his wife. Wonderful people.
He just seems like a fireball of energy.
Oh, great guy. And right, he brought, what is he, the Iron Man now?
Yeah.
He brought an Iron Man locomotive, which was his dressing room, with his own chef and eating private meals every day. It was great work. Yeah, great.
Let's take a look at a clip from Robert in his Golden Globe, Screen Actors Guild, and Oscar-nominating performance for The Judge.
Indiana, we worked up in western Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Almost as pretty as Virginia. Nice up there. It's nice. Nice weather. Good people to work with. Yeah.
Such a complex
character.
Oh, yeah.
So gentle with his grandchild at the same time.
Right.
Yeah. Questions?
Robert, question. Whenever you get into a tight situation, such as when you were hanging Jake Spoon, right? You could feel those goosebumps, right? You mentioned one time that it's a great world between action and cut, and you could feel those goosebumps. But you also throw in that I wait for every Duvall movie I saw. At some point, Robert is going to grit his teeth. Give me a grit, you know.
But clearly he loves your work.
Thank you.
And I have to say one more thing, right? You're Sylvester Stallone. Whenever he goes to Philadelphia, who is he? Rocky. You go to Texas, who are you?
Texas Ranger.
Gus.
Gus. You'll always be Gus in our hearts, my friend.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gus is kind of like my Hamlet.
The Western Hamlet. That's right.
Yeah.
Another question? Yeah.
You've worked with so many incredible filmmakers, actors, screenwriters. Is there anyone you haven't worked with yet that you hope to one day?
Sometimes the young guys come up I wouldn't mind working with.
Thank you.
Hey, there's some good young actors. Good young actors. Very good. Good as ever.
No specific name you want to...
Tom Hardy's very good.
Yeah.
Matthew McConaughey in the Dallas Buyers Club. You can't do any better.
Right.
I know his brother. I talked to him earlier. I know the Crazy family. Crazy. The father was a defensive end for the Green Bay Packers.
His father, Matthews was.
Yeah, before the black guys came on.
Right.
It's a better sport now. But back then they were slower, and it's a crazy family, the Matthew McConaughey. And I know the older brother, but he's wonderful. There's some wonderful young actors now. The door is open, it's wide. Sometimes people, like, rather than writing novels or whatever, they want to get the directors or actors. So it's a very open and inviting and an enticing medium, I think, really, filmmaking. Yeah.
Another question?
Yeah.
I've got one.
Yeah.
One of my favorite lines, Mr. Duvall. Fill your hands, you son of a bitch. From True Grit. But,
True Grit, yeah, right. It was great working with John Wayne. Oh, yeah.
Well,
great working with the...
You, sir, are magnificent, and with the theme of the film festival about the storytelling. You tell such a magnificent story, and it's almost like you could sit up there by yourself and say, oh, I got a good one about him, or I got a good one about this, and it's such a joy to be in your company.
Thank you.
You are a great, and you've worked with a lot of greats. William Holden, John Wayne, a lot of character actors and actresses. Yeah. Is there someone that, from the past, that you wish you could have had a chance to work with, or whose work from the past you truly enjoyed?
Well, I guess if I thought about it, yeah. William Holden was great to work with. Whenever a woman would come on the set, his antenna would go up. He was a great guy, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess there are people, that I would like to have worked with, but I'd have to think about it. I mean, I've worked with some wonderful people, very much so. Yeah, I worked with Olivier. I turned down the Black Stallion to be in that movie that was not that good, the Betsy with Olivier. It was great to work with Olivier. I wanted to work with Olivier, and he worked very hard on his Midwestern accent.
Right.
He'd go, here we are at the Hardeman Manor, making the automobile with the Hardeman family. Oh, sorry, love, what's my line? Oh, thank you very much. Hardeman Manor.
Well, I truly mean this when I say I absolutely hate to end this, because this has just been
well, let's sit a while longer.
Experience. red carpet event that's happening right after this. You know, I want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here tonight and spending some time with us here. I want to thank the Washington West Film Festival. And on a personal note, I want to thank this young Robert for having me. You guys could have had a professor from a university.
No, well, you're a professor. You did a wonderful movie, and I think I'm going to probably be voting for you when the... Thank the foundation, if that's the word, yeah. The festival for helping us, Luciana and Joanna, for our children's fund. You know, everything's for the children. They're the ones that, you know, will carry on. You know, someday be doing. They say, yeah, I like Lonesome Dove, but did you see this guy? The young people coming up. You know, it's good to take care of them and honor the children. And we do appreciate it, my wife and I, very much.
Don't go anywhere yet. There's another announcement here from Brad. But anyway, again, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere yet. Brad has an announcement. Well done.
So I have a couple of announcements to close. We are actually going to let Mr. Duvall go. He needs to spend a couple minutes on the red carpet up front. So one last time, as the film festival that will be known as the festival that cheers the loudest, Mr. Robert Duvall.